Dear students, now we are going to start the new chapter is photosynthesis. This is 13th chapter in plant physiology. What is photosynthesis? The term photosynthesis itself we can able to divide it into two words, namely photo and synthesis. Photo means light. Synthesis means preparing. Preparing what? Preparing food. So preparing food with the help of sunlight is called as photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is a photochemical reaction. So how this photochemical reaction which takes place in plants. So which is a site of photosynthesis process. A leaf is a site of photosynthesis. How this photosynthesis process which will be takes place in plants, that we are going to discuss in detail. So in this chapter we are going to discuss about the definition of photosynthesis, what are the significance of photosynthesis, then the site of photosynthesis like chloroplast. So even in the leaf, a particular organelle it is called as chloroplast. So photosynthesis takes place in chloroplast. So the detailed structure of the site of photosynthesis we are going to discuss. And later on we are going to discuss about photosynthetic pigment. Inside the chloroplast, a lot of pigments are there like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C, xanthophyll, carotenoids. In such a way, various kinds of pigments are also present in the chloroplast. Then the spectrum of electromagnetic radiation, because light is an external factor of photosynthesis. The light is made up of lot of part inside because it is electromagnetic spectrum. The details of electromagnetic spectrum we are going to discuss in detail. Among them, which spectrum will be very much used for the plants for the process of photosynthesis we are going to discuss. Next we are going to discuss about photosynthetic unit called quantosome. Then apart from this we are going to discuss about absorption spectrum, action spectrum, Emerson experiments, Hill's reaction, then modern concept of photosynthesis. These are all the things we are going to discuss. Then we are going to discuss details of mechanism of photosynthesis like light reaction and dark reaction. Then various chemoosmotic theory, as well as we are going to discuss in details of light reaction and dark reaction, how it takes place in Hill's reaction, as well as the carbon cycle called C3 cycle or Melvin-Calvin cycle, how it takes place. And then C for pathway like Hatchlock pathway, then chem metabolism, then photorespiration or otherwise called as C2 cycle. Now what are the factors which will be responsible to affect photosynthesis? And finally we are concluding with photosynthesis in bacteria as well. So these are all the topics we are going to discuss in details in this chapter photosynthesis. First of all, we should understand about the definition of photosynthesis. As I discussed earlier that, so photosynthesis is a photochemical reaction in which carbohydrates are formed from carbon dioxide, water, sunlight in the presence of chloroplast in green plants. So this is called photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is also can be explained with the help of an equation. So look at this equation. If you observe about this equation, you can able to understand that what is photosynthesis process. So this is called the equation for photosynthesis. The equation for photosynthesis is nothing but 6CO2 plus 12H2O gives rise to, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, gives rise to C6H12O6, that is glucose or carbohydrate, plus 6H2O water and 6 molecule of oxygen. So from this equation itself we can able to understand that we can able to define, because photosynthesis is a photochemical reaction, because it is converting light energy into chemical energy. Here chemical energy is nothing but glucose or carbohydrates. So formation of chemical energy from sunlight. So it is a photochemical reaction in which carbon dioxide, water and chlorophyll in the presence of light, it is utilized to produce carbohydrate and it is evolved oxygen. This process is called as photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is a photochemical reaction in which an oxidation or reduction reaction is carried out with the help of light, converting solar energy into chemical energy. So it is a most important anabolic process. The plant and photosynthetic bacteria use simple raw materials like carbon dioxide, water with the help of sunlight. So energy is synthesized in the form of carbohydrate and evolve oxygen. So this can be explained through this equation. So this is called the definition for photosynthesis. Now we shall discuss about significance of photosynthesis. How the photosynthesis is very much important for the entire world. Already we know that the phototrophic organisms like plants and some of the microorganisms like bacteria, photosynthetic bacteria, cyanobacteria, they can prepare their own food with the help of photosynthesis. So the photosynthetic organism provide food for all living organisms. So what are the organisms which are living on the earth? Those are being heterotrophic organisms. They may be directly or indirectly depends upon the plants by the process of photosynthesis. So every living organisms, they are depending upon the photosynthetic process either directly or indirectly. So it is the only natural process that liberate oxygen in the atmosphere and balance the oxygen level as well. So photosynthesis, which is balance the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the nature. Because as from the equation we can able to understand that it is replacing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. So excess amount of carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere which will make greenhouse effect or global warming may be occur. But the plant are absorbing carbon dioxide and release in the form of oxygen. So oxygen is very much essential for every living organism. So the balance of this carbon dioxide and oxygen is maintained and balanced by the photosynthesis process. Certain fuels such as coal, petroleum, natural gas, these are also formed from preserved photosynthetic plants. Because fossil fuel are obtained from the plants which is 1000 years back. So due to natural calamities, the plants might be buried inside due to natural calamities. So these plant pods might be burned without oxygen under the earth. So which is making this natural fossil fuel like coal, petroleum and natural gas. That means this fossil fuel like coal, petroleum, natural gas are also producing energy that is formed from photosynthesis. So photosynthetic organisms are usually primary producers on which all the consumer depends upon for the energy in any type of ecosystem. And also plant provide fodder. Fodder means a feeding for cattle and fiber, firewood, timber, useful medicinal products, fruits, vegetables and so on. So these are all the sources come by the act of photosynthesis. So this is a major important significance of photosynthesis. Now we are going to discuss about the site of photosynthesis. Site of photosynthesis means where the photosynthesis process takes place. As you know very well that photosynthesis process takes place in leaf. Especially the chloroplasts which are present inside the cell, which will be responsible for the process of photosynthesis. Look at the picture. This picture is showing the structure of chloroplast. The chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis. So this is double wall membrane bounded organelle. So chloroplast is double wall membrane bounded organelle. This is outer membrane, this is inner membrane. Inside the inner membrane, a fluid substances which are present, which are called as stroma. So the fluid substances are called as stroma. Inside the stroma, lot of stakes of thylakoids, a coin-like arrangements or circular disc-shaped structures are present. These are called as thylakoid. So number of thylakoids are arranged one over the other, which are called as stakes of thylakoid. Look at this picture. This will be indicating the thylakoid and the thylakoid membrane. So this is thylakoid. So number of thylakoids are arranged one over the other. This bunch of these stakes of thylakoids are called grana. Singularly it is called as granum. So number of granums are available. Inside the granum, lot of thylakoids are arranged one over the other to form a stacks of thylakoids. Apart from this granum, these granums are interconnected with the help of stroma lamellae. So there is a connection between stroma will be called as stroma lamellae. Apart from this stroma, thylakoid, granum and stroma lamellae, these are also consist of various important parts like chloroplast DNA, very important. Then starch granules, ribosomes, droplets of lipids. So these are all available inside the chloroplast. So this is a site of site of photosynthesis. So chloroplast is the organelle. This will be responsible for the process of photosynthesis. Because of this organelle, they can able to synthesize their own food in plants. Without chloroplast, they cannot, no organism cannot able to prepare their own food, because this is consist of various pigments. Various pigments like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C, xanthophyll, carotenoids and so on. So such a type of pigments will be responsible for the process of photosynthesis. Because these pigments can able to trap the sunlight and convert them into carbohydrates. So this is possible because of this site of chloroplast. So chloroplasts are main site of photosynthesis and both the energy yielding process as well as fixing of carbon dioxide, both light reaction as well as dark reaction, that is takes place in chloroplast. So it is already I discussed earlier with the picture. It is double walled membrane bounded organelle. It is looking like a discoid shape in structure or lens shaped in structure. It measures around 4 to 10 micrometer in diameter and 1 to 33 micrometer in thickness. The membrane unit or the membrane is the unit membrane and space between them are 100 to 200 Armstrong. This inside the double wall membrane, there is a colloidal substance is present. A colloidal and proteinaceous matrix are present inside the chloroplast are called stroma. A sac-like membranous system called thylakoid or lamellae is present in stroma. And they are arranged one above the other, forming a stacks of coin-like structure called granum. Each and every chloroplast consists of at least 40 to 60 granum, and each granum consists of 5 to 30 thylakoids. So thylakoid found in the granum called grana lamellae. That means the granums are connected with the help of a strand or tube-like structure, which are called as grana lamellae. And the thylakoid disc size is around 0.25 to 0.8 micron in diameter. So this is very important organ. So inside the chloroplast, especially in the granule, there are two important systems are there, photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Whereas stroma lamellae have only photosystem 1 on the surface. And moreover, this chloroplast contain around 30 to 35% of proteins, 20 to 30% of phospholipids, 5 to 10% of chlorophyll, 4 to 5% of carotenoids, and 70 S chromosome as well. Circular DNA are also present, and starch grains are also available in this chloroplast. These are all very much important role. Inner surface of the lamellar membrane, it consists of a small spherical structure called quantosome. So quantosome is also very much important to do the role of photosynthesis process. Now we are going to see about photosynthetic pigments, various types of photosynthetic pigments we can able to see. As I said just now in the earlier classes about photosynthetic pigments, these pigments are also very important role in the process of photosynthesis. This tabular column will be helping us to understand about the various types of pigments which will be responsible for photosynthesis. A photosynthetic pigment is a pigment that is present inside the chloroplast or photosynthetic bacteria which can able to capture the light energy necessary for photosynthesis. That light energy is converted into chemical energy in the form of either carbohydrate in the form of either glucose or starch. So various types of pigments we can able to see. Lot of chlorophyll pigments like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C, chlorophyll D, chlorophyll E, bacteriochlorophyll A, bacteriochlorophyll B, chlorobium chlorophyll 650, chlorobium chlorophyll 666. These are all various kinds of chlorophyll pigments. Apart from this, some other pigments like carotene, lycopene, xanthophyll, then fucoxanthin, lutein, vioxanthin. These are all various kinds of carotenoids, red or pink color pigments. Apart from this, some of the algae and cyanobacteria which are having a specialized pigments are called phycobilins, phycocyanin, phycoerythrin. These are all the pigments which will be responsible for the photosynthesis in plants, higher plants, cyanobacteria, and some of the bacteria as well. Some of the algae also can able to do photosynthesis. So these are all the pigments which will be responsible. Among these pigments, chlorophyll A is a primary pigment because this is the reaction center of the photosynthesis. Remaining all the pigments will be called as accessory pigments. So here chlorophyll A is trapping the sunlight and convert them into chemical energy. Remaining all the pigments will be supporting the role of chlorophyll A. That is why chlorophyll A is a primary pigment which is act as a reaction center. And all other pigments act as accessory pigments and trap solar energy and then transfer to chlorophyll A. So chlorophyll molecule usually have a tadpole-like structure that can be seen in the diagram if it is given. So these pigments are very much essential, which will be showing very important role. Among them, as I said just now, chlorophyll is an important pigment. Then some other pigments like carotenoids. So carotenoids are yellow to orange pigment. Mostly it is tetraterpenes, carotenoids are tetraterpene, and these pigments absorb light strongly in the blue to violet region of visible spectrum. These pigments protect chlorophyll from photooxidative damage. That is why they are called as shield pigments. These carotenoids absorb light and transfer these into chlorophyll. Almost all carotenoid pigments have 40 carbon atoms. Ripening of fruits, flowers colors and leaf colors change during certain season due to these carotenoids. For example, look at the picture. The mango. A raw mango, it is become, usually they are being green in color. When the fruit is become ripened, it is slightly become yellow due to the chlorophyll converted into lutein. It's a yellow color pigment. Then the yellow color part is gradually changed into red, orange red. That is carotene. So in such a way, one form of pigment can be converted into other form of pigment as well. Then another pigment, important pigment is xanthophyll. Xanthophyll is yellow color pigment, or like carotene. Carotenes are pink color or red color, pink to a red. But xanthophyll is yellow color pigment. These are contain more amount of oxygen. Lutein is responsible for the yellow color. The changes of leaves from green color to yellow during autumn season due to the chlorophyll is changed into xanthophyll of lutein. So, various types of xanthophyll pigments are there. As I said, lutein, vioxanthin, fucoxanthin, these are all a blue color pigment called xanthophyll. Then one more pigment is phycophylins. Phycophylins are proteinaceous pigments. They are soluble in water and they do not contain any magnesium in the phytol tail. If you see chlorophyll, the chlorophylls are having magnesium and phytol tail, but in the phycophylins there is no magnesium and phytol tail. They exist in two forms such as phycocyanin and phycoerythrin. Phycocyanin found in cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. Phycoerythrin may be found in the rhodophysian algae, like red algae. Now we are going to discuss another important concept, which is called as electromagnetic spectrum of radiation. So this electromagnetic spectrum of radiation is an important factor because plants are preparing food material from sunlight. This sunlight is having important spectrum is called as electromagnetic spectrum. The total electromagnetic spectrum which are having visible light is a smaller part. The entire life on the earth depends upon the light and is deriving force for the organisms. Plants have natural potential to utilize this solar energy directly. For example, this light spectrum, if you see in the middle, which can be seen, the wavelength between this middle, these are visible spectrum. These are the spectrum can be seen through our naked eye. So these are called visible spectrum. Apart from this visible spectrum, these are also having various types of other spectrum which are not visible to our naked eye, like ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays. These are shorter wavelength than the visible spectrum, and moreover they have more energy. Similarly, some other radiations like infrared, microwaves, radio waves, these are having longer wavelength of visible, greater wavelength than the visible spectrum. So these are all various ranges of light. Usually the visible spectrum ranges between 390 to 763 nanometer. If I explain in Armstrong, around 3900 Armstrong to 7630 Armstrong. The color of the light is determined by the wavelength. So VIBGYOR, already you know that, the visible spectrum which is consists of VIBGYOR. The energy of the quantum is inversely proportional to the wavelength. That means if they are having shorter wavelength, they have more energy. If they are having longer wavelength, they have less energy. So electromagnetic spectrum consists of 8 different types of radiation, such as, if you see from right side, if you see cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, visible spectrum, infrared rays, electric rays, microwaves, radio waves, and so on. So these are all very much important role in photosynthetic process. Among these radiation, plants are doing major photosynthesis process in a particular wavelength. These are called as photosynthetic active radiation, which is around 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer, in between blue to red color wavelength, which will be very much suitable for the photosynthesis process. Then we are going to see about various properties of light. It is also very important question. What are the properties of light? So light is a transverse electromagnetic waves. It consists of oscillating electric and magnetic field that are perpendicular to each other and also perpendicular to the directions of propagations of light. Such a type of waves are called as transverse wave. Already you might have studied in physics. And moreover, the light moves with the speed 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. The speed of light is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. The wavelength is distance between successive crust and trough. So this is called wavelength. That means the distance between successive crust or successive trough. That means one crust to another crust. For example, see here. So this is a wavelength. This is wave. The wave is having the upper region is called crust. The lower region is called trough. So crust, trough, crust, trough, crust, trough. The distance between two crust is called one wavelength, lambda. Or distance between two trough is called one wavelength, that is lambda. So in such a way, we can able to measure the distance between two crust or two trough will be called as wavelength. So light is a particle which is called as photon. That means light is made up of a tiny particle which are called as photon. Each photon contains an amount of energy is known as quantum. That means every particle consists of certain energy. How much amount of energy they are having, that amount of energy will be measured with a device unit is called quantum. The energy of photon depends upon the frequency of light. So these are some important properties of light. Now we are going to see another concept is called as quantosome. What are quantosomes? Quantosomes are the morphological expression for the physiological photosynthetic unit, which are located on either inner membrane of the thylakoid, lamellae, or outer membrane of the thylakoid. Each quantosome about 180 Armstrong into 160 Armstrong and 100 Armstrong thickness. In the year 1952, Steinman observed the granular structure in chloroplast under the electron microscope. And later, Park and Biggins, another two scientists in the year 1964, they confirmed this granular structure as a physiological unit of photosynthesis and coined the term quantosome. According to them, one quantosome contained about around 230 chlorophyll molecules. A minimum number of chlorophyll and other number of chlorophyll, other accessory pigments are act together in a photochemical reaction to release one oxygen or to reduce one molecule of carbon dioxide. So this is called quantosome. Now we are going to see another concept which are called as absorption spectrum. So this is also very much important about absorption spectrum. So absorption spectrum and action spectrum are very much important as far as photosynthesis is concerned. The term absorption spectrum is referred as a complete retention of light without reflection. That means how much amount of light is absorbed from the sun, that is completely utilized. That never be reflected back. Or transmission. So all the pigments which will be absorbing different wavelength of light, a curve is obtained. Look at the right side picture. The curve may be obtained by plotting the amount of absorption of different wavelength of light by the pigment. It is called as absorption spectrum. So this graph is showing absorption spectrum. On x-axis we can plot wavelength, and y-axis we can plot the photosynthetic rate or absorption rate. So various types of spectrum, various types of pigments like chlorophyll A, beta carotene, chlorophyll B, all they can able to observe how much amount of light is absorbed or converted into photosynthesis. So this picture can be help us to understand what is absorption spectrum. If you look at this picture, the chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B absorb quantum from blue color to red region. Maximum absorption peak, if you see here, maximum absorption peak will be formed at the tip. So this is called as absorption peak. So maximum absorption peak for a different forms of chlorophyll A is 670 to 673. 680 to 683 and 695 to 705 nanometer. So on this spectrum they can have maximum amount of photosynthesis. Chlorophyll A 680 is P680 and chlorophyll 700. Chlorophyll A 700 is P700. Function as the main action center, that is photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 respectively. Then action spectrum. What is action spectrum? Action spectrum is nothing but the effectiveness of different wavelength of light on photosynthesis is measured by plotting against quantum yield. The curve shows the rate of photosynthesis at different wavelength of light is called action spectrum. Look at the picture. Both the spectrum can be shown in this picture. Action spectrum as well as absorption spectrum. From the graph showing the action spectrum, it can be concluded that maximum photosynthesis takes place in blue to red region of the spectrum. This wavelength of spectrum is called as absorption maximum chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B molecule. The action spectrum is instrumental in the discovery of the existence of two photosystems in oxygen evolving photosynthesis. Next, another one concept is called as Emerson experiment or Hill's reaction, or this is also called as red drop or Emerson first effect. According to Emerson, conducted an experiment in chlorella. It is an algae using only one wavelength of light, that is monochromatic light, at a time, and he measured the quantum yield. He plotted the graph of the quantum yield in terms of oxygen evolution at various wavelengths of light. His focus was to determine at which wavelength the photochemical yield of oxygen was maximum. That means how much amount of oxygen evolved, that will be equal to the rate of photosynthesis. Maximum amount of photosynthesis might be takes place. He found that in the wavelength around 600 to 680 nanometer, the yield was constant, but suddenly dropped in the region above 680 nanometer. That is especially in the red color wavelength. The fall of the photosynthetic yield beyond the red region of the spectrum is referred as red drop or Emerson effect or Emerson first effect. So that's all about Emerson experiment or Hill's reaction. Now we are going to see about modern concept of photosynthesis. This is also called as mechanism of photosynthesis. Usually the photosynthesis is an oxidation reduction process. Water is oxidized to release oxygen and carbon dioxide is reduced to form of sugar. This process might be divided into two phases, namely light reaction and dark reaction. Usually light reaction which takes place only in the presence of light. During this process, they require chlorophyll molecule. The process which is involving chlorophyll, solar energy and water, which are combined together to form the important energy called ATP and reducing power called NADPH2, which are producing during a light process. This is called as light reaction. Then what is dark reaction? What are the products which are obtained during light reaction? That is ATP and NADPH2 are utilized during dark reaction to reduce carbon dioxide into carbohydrate. So, the reduction of carbohydrate into carbohydrate by using the product obtained in the light reaction is called as dark reaction. This dark reaction does not need any light. That is why this is called as dark reaction. This was explained by Melvin Calvin. That is why the cycle might be called as Calvin's cycle. So, this light reaction, it is a photochemical reaction, where dark reaction is a thermochemical reaction. Now we are going to discuss in details of photo-oxidation phase of light. Actually, the light reaction is having two phases, namely photo-oxidation phase and photochemical phase. In photo-oxidation phase, they have absorption of light energy, then transfer of energy from accessory pigment to the reaction center, then activation of chlorophyll A molecule, then that will be entered into the photochemical phase. So during photochemical phase, photolysis of water and oxygen evolution takes place. Then electron transport system is synthesized, assimilated power. But in dark reaction, this is also called as biosynthetic phase. The fixation of reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrate with the help of assimilatory power produced during light reaction, that is ATP and NADPH2. This entire reaction does not require light energy and is not directly light driven. Hence it is called as dark reaction. As this was explained by Melvin Calvin and Benson, this is also called as Calvin-Benson cycle. So later on we shall discuss about the light reaction and dark reaction in detail. Now we shall discuss about photo-oxidation phase. What is photo-oxidation phase? So in this picture, this diagrammatic representation will be helping us to understand the most important fact about how the photo-oxidation phase takes place in plant. What is photo-oxidation phase? Now we shall discuss about photo-oxidation phase. Now we shall see look at this picture. This will be helping to understand how the photo system is there. What is photo-oxidation system? The action of photon means the tiny particles which are present in the light, play a vital role in excitation of pigment molecule to release an electron. When the molecule absorbs a photon, it is immediately excited to the excited state. When the light source is turned off, the high energy electron return to the high normal low energy orbital. That means the excited molecule goes back into the original stable condition, is known as ground state. So the diagrammatic representation is not available in your syllabus. It was available in the old syllabus. Now it is removed. It is deleted. When molecule absorbs or emit light energy, they can change the electrostatic. That means whenever they can absorb, they can excited or they can jump from the lower order of energy level to the higher order of energy level. Then if they are jumping from higher order energy level to the lower order energy level, they can release the energy, they can emit energy. So this is emission and absorption spectrum. So absorption of blue light excites the chlorophyll to higher energy state than the absorption of red light, because the energy of photon is higher when the wavelength is shorter. So when the pigment molecule is in an excited state, this excitation energy is utilized for the production of ATP. This is called phosphorylation. So phosphorylation takes place with the help of light generated electron, and hence it is known as photophosphorylation. Photo means during photosynthesis, this is a light emitted process which is producing ATP. This will be called as phosphorylation. So production of ATP, which is called as phosphorylation. So this is called photooxidation phase. Now we are going to see about photosystem. Look at this picture. These are all showing various types of pigment molecule. The green color part, disc shaped green color part is showing various photosystem. So these are trapping the energy. These are absorbing the energy from sunlight. So photons of light will be trapped by this photosystem. Already we know that there are two photosystems are there. They are photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. The thylakoid membrane contains photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Usually the photosystem 1 is unstaked region of granule facing stroma of chloroplast. The photosystem 2 is found on the staked region of thylakoid membrane facing lumen. That means it is present inside the thylakoid. Photosystem 1 is present on the outer surface of the thylakoid membrane. Photosystem 2 is present inside the thylakoid membrane, which are present towards the lumen. Each photosystem, that is photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, consists of a central core complex. These are called as core complex, CC. And also they are having light harvesting complex, LHC. Or also this will be called as antenna. That is antenna molecule. So in this picture which is showing in a circular shape of disc shaped structure, which are called as antenna pigment molecule. The core complex consists of respective reaction center and associated with proteins, electron donors and acceptors. Usually the photosystem 1 is a reaction center which is called as P700 nanometer. The photosystem 2, which is also called as the reaction center, for P680 nanometer. So these are the two reaction centers which are present on the chlorophyll. On the basis of it, we are going to discuss in detail of how the photochemical reactions of light reaction takes place. The light reaction which will be takes place either in the form of which is cyclic or non-cyclic photophosphorylic process. Usually the photochemical phase of light reaction, in this phase electrons are passing through various electron carriers molecule and generate assimilate power like ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and NADPH2, NADPH plus H plus. This all takes place by splitting a water molecule generate electron replacing electron produced by the light. Now we shall discuss about how this light reaction takes place either in the form of cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Already we discussed. So there are two important photosystems. They are called as photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So these combined together will be helping us to make this non-cyclic photophosphorylation as well as cyclic photophosphorylation. First of all, I shall explain about non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Already we had discussed about photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. The photosystem 1 will be having the nanometer of P700 nanometer. So this is also called as light harvesting center 1 or photosystem 1, or it is also called as P700 nanometer. Another photosystem which are called as P618 nanometer or photosystem 2 or light harvesting center 2. The photosystem 1 is having more amount of primary pigments and less amount of accessory pigments. Primary pigments means chlorophyll A. Remaining all the pigments will be called as accessory pigments. So usually the photosystem 1 is having more amount of primary pigments like chlorophyll A, and less amount of remaining all the pigments. On the other hand, the photosystem 2 will be having less amount of primary pigments and more amount of accessory pigments. Okay, right? How the non-cyclic photophosphorylation takes place? The chlorophyll molecule are the pigments which are present in the photosystem 2, which is nothing but P680 nanometer, which are trapping the sunlight. So photons of light will be absorbed from the sunlight. Then the chlorophyll molecule which are present inside the photosystem will be excited. That means they can able to release electrons. There are 4 electrons will be released from this photoactivated photosystem 2 when they are trapping the sunlight. So this electron is excited and enter into the coherent state. By the meantime, this oxidized chlorophyll, they have the ability to split water molecule. So this is called as photolysis. Photo means light, lysis means breakdown. So the light activated chlorophyll which are present in the photosystem 2 are splitting water molecule. So breaking down of this water molecule into produce 4 electrons, 4 proton and release of oxygen. This process is called as photolysis. It is very important. So how this photolysis, usually it is very difficult to break down the water molecule, but this is light activated chlorophyll. Because of this chlorophyll is being oxidized condition. How it is oxidized? When the photons of light is trapped from the sunlight by this chlorophyll molecule, these electrons are released, then this chlorophyll molecule become oxidized. This oxidized chlorophyll can able to split the water molecule into 4 electron and oxygen and proton. This process is also called as oxygen evolving complex. This can be done with the help of various ions called manganese 2 plus ion, calcium 2 plus ion and chlorine minus ion. So manganese 2 plus ion, calcium 2 plus ion, chlorine minus ion are important role to do the photolysis process. So the photolysis process which are producing 4 electron, this will be refilled. The electrons are excited from this chlorophyll molecule. Then this photosystem become reduced. Earlier it was oxidized. After accepting this electron, this will be reduced. Okay, come to the point. Now the electrons are excited from the photosystem 2 to the coherent state. Now these are passing through various electron acceptors like pheophytin, plastoquinone, cytochrome B6 and F complex and plastocyanine. So these are all various electron acceptors. So the electron excited to the Q state, these are passed to the various electron acceptors like the electrons are accepted by pheophytin, from the pheophytin to plastoquinone, from the plastoquinone to the cytochrome B6 and cytochrome F complex, then this will be transferred to the plastocyanin. So here there is a phosphorylation which takes place. What is phosphorylation? Formation of ATP from ADP plus inorganic phosphate is called as phosphorylation. So there is a phosphorylation which takes place. That means synthesis of ATP takes place in between the cytochrome B complex to the plastocyanin. By the meantime, the electrons are transferred to the photosystem 1. By the meantime, the photosystem 1 is also doing absorbing the light from the absorbing the photons from the light. Then once again the photosystem 1, that is P700 nanometer, is also excited and release the electrons and going to the excited state called ferridoxin reducing substrate. So this photosystem 2 is oxidized. So already plastocyanin is having 4 electrons. These electrons are entering into the photosystem 1, then this will be reduced. Come to the point. These excited electrons are being at FRS. FRS means ferridoxin reducing substrate. Then this will be transferring these electrons into the ferridoxin. Then this ferridoxin will be entering into the NADP, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. These two molecules of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, which is obtained 4 proton, which is released during photolysis, which will be entering into the NADP to form NADPH2 or NADPH plus H plus. So 2 NADP which are producing 2 NADPH2. So here the electrons are expelled from this chlorophyll molecule is excited, but they are not recycled back. These are forming a Z-scheme model. Hence these are called Z-scheme cyclic non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Now we shall discuss about cyclic photophosphorylation. When the cyclic photophosphorylation takes place, there are 4 important conditions to be required. Whenever there is a requirement of more amount of ATP, one condition. Second thing, only photosystem 1 is available, there is no photosystem 2, second condition. Then the third condition is there is no photolysis takes place. And fourth condition is non-availability of NADPH is reduced. So these are the 4 conditions. If it is fulfilled, then cyclic photophosphorylation is occurred. Okay, come to the point. How the cyclic photophosphorylation takes place? So in this cyclic photophosphorylation, only one photosystem, that is photosystem 1, that is P700, light harvesting center 1. So this is also this photosystem 1 is also trapping the sunlight. That means these are absorbing the photons and excited to the ferridoxin reducing substrate. So the electrons are expelled from the chlorophyll photosystem 1, then this will be excited to the ferridoxin reducing substrate. Then this molecule will become oxidized. The electron transferred to the ferridoxin reducing substrate will be passed on to the various electron acceptors like ferridoxin, then entered into the cytochrome B6, then it is entered into cytochrome F, and finally plastocyanin. Once again it is returned back to the photosystem 1. So here the electrons are expelled from photosystem 1 is cycled back to the photosystem 1. That is why these are called as cyclic photophosphorylation. In the previous explanation, these are Z scheme. So the electrons expelled from the photosystem 2 are not returned back to the photosystem 1. That is why they are called as non-cyclic photophosphorylation. But here the electrons are expelled from photosystem 1 is cycled back to the photosystem 1 again. So that is why these are called as cyclic photophosphorylation. And moreover, when it is transferring to in this electron transport, they are producing 2 phosphorylation. One between ferridoxin and cytochrome B6. Here ATP is synthesized from inorganic phosphate and ADP. Then in between cytochrome B6 and cytochrome F, another phosphorylation takes place. There are 2 phosphorylations takes place in cyclic photophosphorylation. So that's all about light reaction. That means the light reaction, the mechanism of light reaction, which maybe takes place either cyclic photophosphorylation, otherwise it takes place with non-cyclic photophosphorylation. So we can conclude that there is a difference between cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. What are the differences between cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation? Already we had discussed about both cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, how it is occurred. One by one we can differentiate. The cyclic photophosphorylation consists of photosystem 1 only involved. Here only photosystem 1, but here both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 are involved. Both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 are involved in non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Here the reaction center is P700, but here reaction center is P680 nanometer. So electrons are released or cycled back. Here electrons are released or cycled back. Here electrons are expelled or not cycled, and that will be in the form of Z scheme. Photolysis of water does not occur in cyclic phosphorylation, but on the other hand, here the photolysis of water takes place in the cyclic photophosphorylation. But here there is no photolysis of water takes place. Here photolysis of water takes place and oxygen is released. So this is the main differences between non-cyclic and cyclic photophosphorylation. Then only one phosphorylation is occurring in non-cyclic, but here there are two phosphorylation is occurring. And moreover, only ATP is synthesized in cyclic phosphorylation, but here both ATP and NADPH2 or NADPH plus H plus is formed. So there are two important energy sources like ATP and NADPH will be formed in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, but here in cyclic photophosphorylation only ATP synthesis takes place. It does not require any external electron donor. Here there is no external electron donor, but this photolysis providing electrons for this photosystem 2. That's all about the main differences between cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Now we are going to discuss about another important concept is called as chemoosmotic theory or chemiosmotic theory. So look at this picture. This picture will be helping us to understand about what is chemoosmotic theory. Actually, the chemoosmotic theory was proposed by Mitchell in the year 1966. According to this theory, electrons are transported along membrane. Along the membrane means along membrane thylakoid through photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, connected by cytochrome B complex. So electrons are transferred during this, either it is cyclic or non-cyclic, but it is mostly non-cyclic. Both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 are involved by cytochrome B6 and F complex. The flow of electrical current is due to the differences of electrochemical potential of the proton across the membrane. The splitting of water molecules takes place inside the membrane. Due to this, more amount of proton will be formed. So, whenever the electrons are transferred from photosystem 2 to the photosystem 1 through various cytochrome B6 and F complex, then which is producing more amount of proton. So, more amount of protons are accumulated in the lumens of thylakoid membrane. So, inside the thylakoid. So, protons are H plus ion accumulate within the lumen of the thylakoid around 1000 to 200 times. As a result, proton concentration is increased inside the thylakoid membrane. At one occasion, more amount of proton or more amount of H plus ion concentration molecules are available inside the lumen of thylakoid. These protons move across. Whenever if it is increases, They are trying to move across this membrane due to the concentration gradient. Then the process of the proton movement across the membrane because of the primary acceptor of the electron is located outside. Outside of this thyroid membrane, primary acceptors of electrons are readily available. So that is why they are transferring. The protons in the stroma is less in number and creates a proton gradient. So outside the membrane, these are having less amount of proton. That's why they are moving from higher concentration to the lower concentration. So there is a concentration gradient may be formed. So protons in the stroma, this gradient is broken down due to the movement of proton across the membrane to the stroma through CFO of the ATP synthase enzyme. Here ATP synthase enzyme will be making this process in a perfect manner. The proton motive force created inside the lumen of thyroid membrane or the chemical gradient of H plus ion across the membrane stimulated by ATP generation. So due to this, due to the movement of proton are moving from the inner to the outer side, there is ATP will be synthesized. This is called phosphorylations. So synthesis of ATP is called phosphorylations. As it is takes place during photosynthesis, as it is takes place by the absorption of sunlight, so these are also called as photophosphorylation. So this process is called as photophosphorylation. So this is called chemoosmotic theory. Next we are going to see another important concept which will be called as dot reaction.